Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our Hanafi fiqh class. We're doing the kitab known as Ala Sunan of Maulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi, and we are starting tonight from a new chapter regarding the issue of water. It's an important point. I actually had two questions within the last week just relating to the same masala. So it shows that it hasn't left the daily usage. So let us begin. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. So the chapter we are beginning on page 269 is باب أن الماء المستعمل طاهر غير طهور. The chapter that used water, it's pure but it's not a purifier. What is used water? You will come to know shortly. So we're starting from hadith number 224. عن محمد بن المنكدر قال سمعت جابرا رضي الله عنه يقول جاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يعودني وأنا مريض لا أعقل فتوضأ وصب علي من وضوئه فعقلت. الحديث أخرجه البخاري. So Imam Muhammad ibn al-Munkadir, he said, I heard Hazrat Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhuma saying that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam visited me while I was sick. But la a'aqilu. In other words, I was unconscious. I was sick and unconscious, so I wasn't even aware that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was there. So what happened? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam made wudu and wasabba alayya min wudu'ihi. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam then sprinkled some of that that used wudu water over me. And I came to my senses. I woke up. The Imam Bukhari rahimahullah is the narrator of this hadith. So the first point that we are establishing over here is that the water is pure. So to show the thing that had the water been impure, had it been dirty, then you would have basically been throwing dirty water on a person. And had the water been najis, then you'd have to basically go and wash it off you now. So therefore, the first thing which we can establish from this hadith, the fact that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam made wudu. And this is not regarding the fadlul ma. Fadlul ma, which we touched upon before in the past, refers to the leftover water in the jug, for example, that you've dished out from. This is not that. This is you've made wudu and the water from your wudu has been caught in this container. So think of it this way, where you are making wudu over a basin. And as you, for example, you rinse your mouth, you spit it inside there, you wash your face, the water falls off your face, off your arms, etc., into this basin. That water is now what we are basically discussing. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, everything about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was Mubarak. As a result, when somebody, for example, the clothing Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam wore, if somebody was buried with it, it was Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam went to lay down in the qabr of Hazrat Fatima binti Asad radiyallahu anha, the aunt of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the wife of Hazrat Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib radiyallahu anhu. So you know, for everything of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the hair, the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum would not even let the blood of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam fall. They would even take that and drink it. That's how Mubarak every single aspect of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was. So therefore, when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam sprinkled the used wudu water on Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu, it was an instant cure for the illness that he was suffering from. But anyway, the mas'ala which we are deriving from this hadith here is that the water is pure and not impure. Okay, so I did explain what ma'ul musta'mal is. Ma'ul musta'mal, like I said, it refers to used water. You have used it لِرَفْعِ الْحَدَثِ, to remove impurity. So whether it is major or minor impurity, whether you are making ghusl or wudu with it, the water which falls off now is known as ma'ul musta'mal, used water. Ma'ul musta'mal is regarded as being pure but not a purifier, in the sense that it's pure, you throw it on you, etc., like you'll see in the various ahadith, then you are clean. It's not like it's something dirty. But you cannot now go, for example, and make a second wudu with it. That wouldn't be correct. So that's the one point. Secondly, like I say, it's pure. So if you have clean clothing, and I say clean as in the absence of any najasa on it. So maybe, for example, you wore a kurta today. There are no impurities on it. Sure, you had it's just the daily usage, some smudges and dirt and things like that. Dirt as in the context, maybe some grass stain, etc., things of that sort. Now you wash it with your leftover wudu water, no problem. It's not like you're washing it with impurities. Had there been, for example, some najasa on your clothing, now you're using ma'ul musta'mal, now you're in a different situation, because now you're using water which is no longer a purifier. Or like I said, you cannot now go and make another wudu. Well, I got it, that water is saved here, let's make wudu with it. No, it's pure but not a purifier anymore. So that's the first hadith. Let's move on. Second hadith, hadith number 225. عن الجعدي قال سمعت السائب بن يزيد رضي الله عنه يقول ذهبت بي خالتي إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن ابن أختي وقع أو وقع فمسح رأسي ودعا لي بالبركة ثم توضأ فشربت من وضوئه. الحديث رواه البخاري. So the narrator Al-Ja'ad, he said, I heard Hazrat Sa'ib ibn Yazid radiyallahu anhu saying that my maternal aunt took me to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and she said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, my nephew is waqa'a or wiq'un. There's two ways of reading this hadith. Waqa'a means he had fallen ill. So, she brought him here. Yes, my little nephew, he's fallen ill now. If you can have a look at him, do something for him. And wiq'un is meaning that here he is, he's currently undergoing, he's experiencing pain, etc., etc. So, meanings are very similar regardless of which way you take it. Any case, so she brought him, and she said, my nephew is the son of my sister. So nephew, he is sick. So what Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam did, فَمَسَحَ رَأْسِي, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam wiped my the fall off, the front part of my head. And this was a habit that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam would do. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam passed his hand over, his Mubarak hand over the head of Hazrat Sa'ib ibn Yazid and made the dua for barakah for him. And thereafter, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam made wudu, and then the water of that wudu, Hazrat Sa'ib ibn Yazid radiyallahu anhu drank some of it, and that's how he was cured now from his ailment. This hadith is reported by Imam Bukhari rahimahullah as well. So both what the thing hadith so far has established, number one, sprinkling it on you, number two, drinking it. So which shows that had there been impurity, had it been najis, you wouldn't have been able to do this, because you'd then be ingesting najasa. So that's what the purpose of us quoting these two ahadith. We haven't come to it not being a tahur, or at least not being able to purify things. We haven't come to that point here. But what we have established is that the water itself is pure. But let's move on to the next hadith. It will put things more in perspective now. Hadith number 226. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال يقول قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يغتسل أحدكم في الماء الدائم وهو جنوب. فقال كيف يفعل يا أبا هريرة رضي الله عنه؟ قال يتناوله تناولا. رواه مسلم وأبو داود وسكت عنه، وكذا الحافظ في الفتح بلفظ لا يبولن أحدكم في الماء الدائم ولا يغتسل فيه من الجنابة. Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لا يغتسل أحدكم, none of you should make ghusl في الماء الدائم, in still water. We discussed previously about what still water is, a small body of water which is still. Now you are getting in that what you call this thing now, the kiddies pool type, plunge pool, or whatever the correct name is, the small one, or something of the sort, small body of water. وَهُوَ جُنُوبٌ, while he's in a state of janaba. فقال, so the people now, the tabi'in, they asked that what should he do then? Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. So Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu said, يَتَنَاوَلُهُ تَنَاوُلًا. He should, in other words, dish water out and throw it over him. What is being spoken about here is you getting into that body of water. That is what should not be done. But if you are outside and you are dishing from that water, then it's a totally different issue altogether. So in this case, when you are in a state of janaba, don't go getting into the water. Think of it this way. In the world today, a lot of people have baths in their houses. And in the old days, before showers and things became a thing, people you either use the bucket system, or those who were but on the rich side, let's put it this way, they would lay in a bath of water. Now you happen to be in a state of janaba. Now you lay in that bath of water. Now you can't make ghusl from it no more. It's ma'ul musta'amal now. It's used water. Now putting the hadith into practice in an old times situation. It even exists in today's time because people haven't exactly done altogether away with baths. Some people still go and have all these bath salts and bath bombs and all things of the sort, so they can go and lay there and soak and whatever they feel these various salts can do and things. So people still do it up till today. But what it shows you is that once you have gotten in that water, you cannot now think, okay, I'm gonna now, since I am in the water, I may as well make a ghusl. No, you can't. The water is used, it's musta'amal, you cannot use it no more. Now you have to go wash this off you and go and get separate water to make a ghusl with. So if you were a person who was planning on getting into a bath for, let's say, for example, some people have painful joints and they're going to be putting Epsom salts in the water and then going to lie in it and things of the sort, and you happen to be in a state of janaba, first make your ghusl. Wash all the impurities off you. Make your ghusl. Then go and lay in your bath. Don't let it do it the other way. Otherwise, all you end up doing is, okay, in both cases, you end up having to do a double job. It's just that in this case, you are not laying in impure water, in other words. So coming back to the hadith, Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu explained to the tabi'i that he should take the water, dish out, and use the water in that manner. So Imam Muslim rahimahullah narrates this hadith, Imam Abu Dawud also as well, and he kept silent, which is his way of saying the narration is authentic. Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah mentions it in Fath al-Bari with the wordings that لا يبولن أحدكم في الماء الدائم. None of you should ever urinate in still standing water. ولا يغتسل فيه من الجنابة, and neither should he make ghusl in it in a state of janaba. Now there are two things over here. There's actually a lot of discussion on this point, but I'm not going to delve too deeply in it. The first point is, like I said, fihi. When you are outside of the water, it doesn't feature or come into play at all. So let's assume you had you've run a bath for you already. It's ready for you. Now you realize I need a ghusl. In that case, dishing the water out, standing at another place, let's say assume you have a bath and you're in a shower in your ensuite bathroom. So you dish some water out of your bath, you go into the shower, you make your ghusl over there, bucket style, or you have a shower, whatever you want to do. Then you come in your bath, no problem, because you were outside of that water. But now if you had gotten into that water, now you can't get out and dish outside to dish the water there and think I'm making ghusl now. Can't work that way. So, وَلَا يَغْتَسِلُ فِيهِ مِنَ الْجَنَابَةِ, you cannot make your ghusl for janaba while you are in it. The second thing is ghusl from janaba. A point over here is that if you are a person specifically having, let's assume a man just happened to have slept with his wife now, etc., etc. So as a result, there is impurity on a person's body, which is why when you have a ghusl, you wash all the impurities off, and then you start your wudu and then your ghusl. In the best form would be to do it in that manner. So now you've got impurities on you, boom, it washes off you, it's in the water is impure. Remember, we spoke about a bit of impurity falling into water. It causes the water to become impure. Not like you are jumping into the sea now, which is a massive body of water where such things don't apply. So as you can see, also we're doing about al-ma'ud da'im, still standing small quantity of water. So any case, so with this hadith, we established that the water which is musta'amal is pure, but not a purifier. Because if you were in it, then and it was a purifier, then you should still be able to use it, but you can't. So that was the one thing. Other ulama, however, they have a slight difference, and a bit of it is semantics and a bit of it is about more semantics, which is you will find some ulama saying that ma'ul musta'mal is najis. They would say that the musta'mal water is impure, you cannot use it. So they would now argue and say the fact of the matter that why it cannot purify anymore is because it has been used, so it's impure, so you can't use it. And they would answer the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doing it as being something which is from the karamat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and of course the fact, like I mentioned, the hadith even of the blood of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which, as we know, in a normal situation, blood is an impurity. But in the case of Sahaba radiallahu anhum, the blood of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never lost its Mubarak status. So, different ulama would look upon it in a different manner. But long story short, simplified, we would say that the water is pure. So the water, if it fell on you, whatever, because think of it this way. Now you are making wudu, water splashes. So now, if it was actual najasa, it would put a person in a difficult situation, because now you make wudu, the water splash in a sink, in the bath, in the shower, wherever you are, and it splashed and it hits back on you. Now you don't even know where it splashed on you. If people with OCD would go insane, because it would be like, now did a drop fall on me? No, let me go and change my clothing. Then I must go and make wash myself again. It would open up doors to like I said, people with OCD had difficulty already making wudu. So to go through a thing like that would lead them to absolute becoming absolute insane. So therefore, simply put, at the end of the day, without delving too much into the ikhtilaf and the various madhahib viewpoints on things, we say that ma'ul musta'mal is pure but not a purifier. Let's move on to another hadith. حديث number 227. أخبرنا محمد بن فضيل عن أبي سنان ضرار عن محارب عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال: من اغترف ماء وهو جنوب فما بقي نجس. أخرجه ابن أبي شيبة في المصنف. قلت سند صحيح رجاله رجال الصحيحين إلا أبا سنان فإنه من رجال مسلم. Okay, so Muhammad ibn Fudayl narrates from Abu Sinan, whose name was Dirar, from Muharib, from Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, who said that the person dishes water out of a اغترف غرفة بيده. If you read in Surah Baqarah, when the Jews came there to the river and they were told only those who don't drink can come with, except if you're going to drink that little bit which is within the palm of your hand, that is what would be permissible. إلا من اغترف غرفة بيده. So اغترف is the same word which is being used here. So what it means is, if you take your water and you dish water out from a container, وهو جنوب, while you are in a state of janaba, فما بقي نجس, then what is left over is impure. In other words, what is basically being said here now? You have a small container of water, you dish water out of it, you haven't come out of a state of janaba yet. So as a result, when your hand went into that water then became, as you can call it now, ma'ul musta'mal. So therefore, the water is now all impure. So what you would then do is have a bucket and a jug system, like how when people actually have a ghusl in that manner, the people would take a bucket, fill some water in there, and take a jug and dish and pour in that manner. Be that as it may, you'll find a lot of ikhtilaf even on this point. Like I said, I'm not going to delve too deeply into that issue, because while this one says najis, like I said, others say it's not najis. But anyway, he says Imam Ibn Abi Shayba rahimahullah reports this hadith in his Musannaf, and Mulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi says that the chain of narration is authentic. All of the people are the narrators found in Bukhari and Muslim, except for Imam Abu Sinan, because Imam Muslim reports from him, Imam Bukhari did not report from him. It doesn't change anything. Imam Bukhari narrated from some people which Imam Muslim didn't. Imam Muslim had, because obviously they met different people, so Abu Sinan is not somebody Imam Bukhari had narrated a hadith from. But at the end of the day, the chain of narration is authentic. Okay, move on one more hadith before our time runs out. Hadith number 228 عن عبد الله رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أتي برجل قد شرب فقال يا أيها الناس قد آن لكم أن تنتهوا عن حدود الله فمن أصاب من هذه القاذورة شيئا فليستتر بستر الله فإنه من يبدي لنا صفحته نقيم عليه كتاب الله. الحديث رواه رزين ولم أراه بهذا السياق في الأصول كذا في الترغيب. قلت ولكن تصدير المنذر إياه بلفظ عن علامة عن علامة لحسنه كما صرح به في مقدمة الترغيب. Okay, so Hazrat Abdullah radiallahu anhu, he narrated that that the man was brought to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that had drank what? Drank wine. قد شرب. When the word is used in an unrestricted nature like this here, it refers to drinking wine. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam made a proclamation saying, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, قد آن لكم أن تنتهوا عن حدود الله. The time has come for you to, to stop, to stop transgressing the hudud of Allah, the limits that Allah has stipulated. In other words, to stop for doing things which are haram of this nature. فَمَنْ أَصَابَ مِنْ هَذِهِ الْقَاذُورَةِ شَيْئًا. So whoever happens to fall into this filth, the filth here is referring to the drinking of wine. So whoever happens to fall into the sin of drinking wine, then فَلْيَسْتَتِرْ بِسِتْرِ اللَّهِ. Then let him conceal himself with the concealment of Allah. In other words, that if you have committed the sin in private in your house where nobody has seen you and things like this here, and Allah has concealed your sin, then so be it. But فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ يُبْدِي لَنَا صَفْحَتَهُ يُبْدِي لَنَا صَفْحَتَهُ. But for the one who shows us his page, if you show us your deeds, you show us your drunken state, then نُقِيمَ عَلَيْهِ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ. We will establish the book of Allah upon you. In other words, we will establish the had and we will lash you. The had of khamr is 80 lashes. So we will lash you 100 lashes. At the differing viewpoints at least. The point being that if we find you to have drunk, we will lash you. Imam Razin rahimahullah is the narrator of this hadith. Imam Razin is also one of the muhaddithin, one of the less famous ones in reality. Tajreed al-Sihah is his kitab. It's not exactly a primary source of hadith because Imam Razin, like certain of the other muhaddithin, they had written a collection which they had taken from various books of hadith. So even though it is deemed in the realm of the first level books of hadith, but nonetheless, because Imam Razini was taking from here and taking from there, taking from other muhaddithin, so therefore he compiled his kitab Tajreed al-Sihah. He's from about the 5th century of his muhaddithin, so not in the realm of people like Imam Malik, Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, Nasai, Ibn Majah. After Imam Bayhaqi and all of them, that's when Imam Razin came along. So anyway, his kitab is known as Tajreed al-Sihah. He's the narrator of this hadith, but Maulana Zafar says, I haven't seen it with this specific wordings, but he says, he's mentioned in Targhib, or at least Imam Al-Mundhiri says in At-Targhib that I haven't found it with this exact wordings in the Usul. But Maulana Zafar says that the fact that Imam Mundhiri has put it in his kitab, Targhib, shows as a default rule, if Imam Mundhiri has put a hadith in his kitab, it means by some degree, he regards it to be authentic. So therefore, the fact that Imam al-Mundhiri had put this hadith in his kitab, even though he hadn't found it with that specific words from wherever Imam Razin had taken it, but the fact that he quotes it from Imam Razin shows that at the very least, he does believe that there is a degree of authenticity to it. That's basically what is being said. I will stop on the point of this hadith here. This just to touch on one final issue. Yeah, as you can see, we've got more hadith to go, so we're not done with this chapter as of yet. When it comes to, just to speak about from the point of the hudud are part and parcel of the Sharia. the Sharia is not something that can be chopped and changed. When the Sharia said cut off the hand of the thief, stone the adulterer, whip the fornicator, you unmarried and you committed zina, you get lashed. If you were married, you will be stoned to death. If you the different, if you are homosexual, you will be killed. How you will be killed, that much differs. Certain things are laid out explicitly that you will cut off the hand. Yeah, you will be stoned to death. Those ones are set in stone. Uh, Others, like I say, with regards to, like, for example, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when you find the people doing the actions of qawmi Lut, homosexuality, then kill the one who does it and the one to whom it's done. In other words, the man and his husband, you will kill them both. Now, how the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not stipulate how they must be killed, just that they must be killed. So, fuqaha differ on the point of killing them, how exactly it's to happen. So, you'll find, for example, some fuqaha will say, well, you'll kill them in the same way a normal zani is killed, which is that you'll stone them to death. Others will say, no, for example, you will take them and chop their heads off. Others say, no, you will for example, take them to a tall building. You'll either tie their hands behind their back, or leave their hands loose, whatever the case may be, and you'll throw them off the tallest building, or if you've got a mountain over there somewhere, you throw them off whatever your tallest structure is, and then you throw stones upon their dead bodies after that, which is the way Qawmi Lut was killed by, as we discussed previously, Jibreel alayhi salam with the tip of a wing lifted the entire town up till the inmates of the skies could hear them, and then he smashed it into the ground, and then fire and brimstone, as the people would say, the stones were still rained down upon them. So that's why some fuqaha had opted for this view, that take them, throw them, and you don't throw them off. You throw them down off upside down. In other words, head first. The head must head downwards. Don't throw it like, they don't jump off the building. They get turned upside down off the building. So, you have a hudud such as that. Now, there's one point over here. فَلْيَسْتَتِرْ بِسِتْرِ اللَّهِ. This is a point of importance as well. Modernists like to go insane with things like this here and run and make as if this is the primary, this is what everything is. It's part and parcel of the Sharia. They think things overboard, which is the fact that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you have been covered by the covering of Allah, then keep yourself covered. In other words, what it means is that as Muslims in an Islamic state, we will not be going around opening your houses, looking in by your windows, installing CCTV cameras and stuff. We will, if you commit a sin in private, we will not take you to task for it without witnesses. So you may go make your own moonshine at home, and you drink there and you pass out like a drunkard in your house there, and you get up the next morning, wash yourself, take the stench of the alcohol away, and there you come out back to the people. We're not going to take you to task. We're not going to lash you. We're not going to. Why? Because we are not going to come and say, hey, I think he's brewing moonshine over there. Let's kick his door down. No. From a Shari'i perspective, if a person is committing a private sin which only affects himself, then he will not be taken to task for it while we don't have witnesses. Unless you come and you have, yes, you invited friends around and they saw you all, they came and they found you laying there drunk, that's a different story. But if, for example, a man is brewing his own moonshine once again, we had this whole lockdown story and people were buying the pineapples up because they use the pineapples to make their own alcohol at home, and others make alcohol with potatoes. That's how you get Guinness and all these sorts of things. Anyway, so if you find now that the man is brewing moonshine, but he's also supplying people with it, now it becomes something totally different. Now it becomes a crime outside of just drinking. Now you are supplying haram and causing corruption in society. Now you can kick his door down, you can take him out, you can crucify him and things of that sort, because his crime falls into a totally different category. But yes, my point that I was speaking is that when it comes to a person committing a crime in a personal space where it doesn't affect other people, you have a person, he has his he smokes his weed when he gets home, nobody knows about it, he passes out there, maybe he takes some drugs in his house. We are not going to police such things in an Islamic state, so to speak. If we're gonna cut down on allowing such things to happen, so we'll make certain that there's no weed being grown around. We'll make certain that there's no drugs being peddled from that angle. But like I said, if a person happens to have a little pot plant at home where he it grows his own weed, and then he smokes that in his own house with nobody knowing, then we will not step in a case like that there. Uh, when it comes now, like I said, if he now starts rolling and passing 1 year to somebody, and then people say, where you want to get, if you want to get the good stuff, go to him, then it becomes a totally different story. But anyway, so as a rule, even if it comes to zina, man and a woman, they happen to be in a house together, we don't know what they have done. Maybe she came to as a worker to clean his house. Maybe she was doing something else, or he was doing something else. They shouldn't be alone, but it doesn't change the fact that we don't know what was done. So we're not going to say no, put CCTVs inside so that we can see in every room. No, the Sharia has the hudud over there for the keeping of law and order. The Sharia must not be trampled upon, but we cannot take action without proof. And proof is having witnesses. Having a CCTV camera would not be counted as proof from a Sharia perspective. So okay, our time is just almost about out. But the point being made is that you have modernistic zanadiqa these days who come and say, the hudud and things like this need to be reformed and stuff, and you can't cut off a hand, put the person in jail instead. This is a crime itself when you want to put the person in jail instead of cutting their hand off. In the hudud of Allah is great wisdom, and the pathetic ones like Hamza Yusuf and them saying, everybody steals. Now you're going to cut people's hands off. People won't be able to shake hands anymore. And he laughs like that. The point is, if Allah has decreed it as the punishment, then that is the thing to do. Why is this? You cut off somebody's hand, what's the likelihood it's going to be that quick to go and steal again? But yes, in reality, there are people who go and steal even after a hand has been chopped off. So you find the books of fiqh will discuss now, chop off the one hand, chop off a foot, chop off the other hand, chop off the other foot, because he got no hands, he's got one foot missing, and he's crawling along there, and he'll still grab your necklace with his teeth and slink off with it. So, you have people that go to that extent that they can't get away without stealing. So what he stump and all, he'll make certain he grabs something, though he can't grab, but he'll hook it there on his stump and he'll run away. So it is put to that level. But the point being, when you cut a person's hand off, the next man who sees him walking around there handless, he's not going to be so hasty to put his hands just anywhere. It brings about a great change in society. If let's be honest, if we were in South Africa chopping hands off, a lot less people would be stealing. We are not, and even with regards to this, there are guidelines in the Sharia. They have to steal X amount. It should not be in a case of poverty. If a person happens to be sleeping in the street, he has no food. Now he happens to steal something of some food from you. You're not going to chop his hand off in that case. There are rules and regulations. But we're talking about now, there you are walking and somebody steals your cell phone. Things of the sort. So, things of there are rules. Chop his hand off. There'll be a great degree of safety where your property is concerned. Stoned an adulterer, and marriages will be saved because there won't be every man sleeping around with other women and all that sort of stuff. So if it comes with regards to every punishment, the Sharia has put in these punishments. If a person kills someone, you put him to death. Finishing the story. You've gotten rid of the criminal. The case is closed. Now you must go take a murderer and put him in jail, give him water and lights and electricity, and nowadays in the prison, and they give him PlayStation, and he must have a right to vote, and you must feed him every day, and all these sort of stuff. Why you still paying out of your pocket to keep that murderer around? Whereas Sharia say, take him, chop his head off, finish, end of story. Then the family are happy. Alhamdulillah, they got justice. The murderer has been killed. He's out of the way. You don't have to lay out a cent for him. You don't have to buy him new clothing next week. Nothing of that sort. So they are great wisdoms in following the hudud of the Sharia. And unfortunately, like I say, a lot of the Zanadiqa, they try to change the hudud. They think that the hudud is there as a scare tactic. It's not actually to be acted upon. It's to be acted upon if you do it in a public sphere. Like I said, you found drunk in a place in public, you will be lashed. Or you stumble out of your door there drunk, and your neighbor is also there, and he says, "You drinking again?" And he grabs you and he takes you off. Yes, you'll be lashed in that case. So it doesn't mean that the neighbor did something wrong by taking you drunk now. No, you ended up coming out in your drunken state. So we judge by the apparent. That's what the Sharia ruling is. We judge by the apparent. So you are drunk here now. Apparently you are drunk. So we can see the smell of drunken things from you, so we will lash you. It's a different story if you are, and I've spoken about this before in the past, you are a person who's sickly, you are, for example, on pain medication, and the medication is so powerful that it makes you drowsy, it makes you even drunk, because it's a opium based medicine, because you've got such serious cancer, your organs are failing and stuff, so they put you on these sort of things. Different story altogether. But if you're drinking, if you're taking drugs and stuff like this here, the had will be carried out against you. Any case, that's the end of hadith number 228, the end of page 273, and we'll stop on this point here, inshallah ta'ala. Next week we will continue onwards from hadith number 229. But until then, we end for now when we say وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.